Hello and welcome to With Love Mama the podcast, or if you have been here before, welcome back. I have been I posted on TikTok last week about wanting to get some mums on for birth stories, and it literally blew up. So crazy, just the amount of women who are wanting to come on the podcast and share their birth story. And I'm so excited for this because I didn't want it to be you have to have had a home birth or you have to have not been induced, or I just didn't want there to be any requirements for who wanted to come on and tell their story. The only requirement being that you had to feel grounded and okay to actually share your story from a space of empowering other mothers, not trauma dumping. We're just not having the trauma dumping around here. And so far, she is thriving. So I've actually decided I'm just adding a whole new episode every week now. So Fridays are going to become guest episode Friday day, because I've had a couple of guests lined up as well for the podcast, and then I've got these birth stories and so many of them that I was just like, you know what, we can just make this a whole thing. Let's just add an extra episode a week. So this feels really good for me. I'm so excited for these episodes to come live. We're going to have this Friday being our first guest episode. So definitely turn on your notifications for the podcast if you haven't already, so that you don't miss this Friday's first guest episode. Also, if you're not following the podcast, make sure you give it a follow. I'm now on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and obviously Spotify. So would be good for you to subscribe, give me a rating, all of the things just to support this podcast to grow, to get in the ears of other mamas, because motherhood can feel so lonely. It can feel like you're the only one that's going through what you're going through. And I just want this to be a space that's so safe for all mums to listen to, pregnant included, you're still a mum. I don't know. I just feel share it with a friend, whatever you need to do to support this podcast, to support me so that we can grow. And I'm so excited to see where this podcast is going to go as well. Just over the time of having it. Anyway, we shall get into today's topic. I thought I'm actually on my way to a client session at her house. And if you didn't already know, I specialize with pregnant postpartum mamas. So I am a doula. I don't do births. I just do the preconception, pregnancy, postpartum side of motherhood for now. I can't wait to actually facilitate, not facilitate, that's the wrong word. I can't wait to actually support birthing mothers. But as we know, I'm about to have 2 under 2. I need to pick my battles, and unfortunately I can't do births just yet. But I look forward to doing it in the future, once kids are a little bit grown up. And oh my gosh, anyway, I digress. So if you didn't already know, I am a doula, and in my services I bring in pretty much, I've done a lot of study over my time. If you didn't know me prior to actually going on maternity leave, I was working a lot I was working very closely with women who were having struggles with their menstrual cycle, however that looked. And then I went on maternity leave. Actually ended up taking nearly a year off. Well, I did really take that pretty much year off that I had Kodak's first year. And then I've come back and I'm this actually feels really aligned this direction. It honestly just feels I feel so grounded in being a doula. So like I was saying, I did a lot of previous study over my time. I've done my degree in Bowen therapy, which is a soft tissue therapy, working with the meridians of the body, releasing the fascia, which is where we hold the fascia is a connective tissue that wraps around all of our bones and muscles in our body. But we actually hold on a cellular level here quite a lot of emotion and trauma and all the things. So it just gently unravels that, but it is more of a physical therapy. I've also done my Reiki masters, breath work, cacao journey facilitator certificate. I've kind of just really dabbled through the holistic space, And then now coming back into doula work, just intertwining all of that feels so good. Like, it actually is like, wow, past me didn't realize I was gathering all these tools for it to be used in this way. But now that it's being used in this way, I'm like, it just makes sense. It's just unreal. So let's talk about like what you can experience in a session with me. So at the moment, the way I've been really working with clients is through just like a one-on-one session. And of course you can have multiple one-off sessions, but it's kind of just how we're rolling at the moment. So in this session, it's really, sorry, I'm actually driving and I thought that there was a dead lizard on the road and actually really started having a meant to be, but it was just a stick. Okay. Back to what we're talking about. So in a session, wait, what was I actually saying? Hold on, give me 1 second. Oh my gosh, baby brain is in full swing. And then I just got actually thrown off. I'm just going to start from here and I'm sure we'll get back to what I was saying if this isn't what it already was. So in a session with me, you can really expect to come in, or I can come to you. So I do home visits on the Sunshine Coast, or you can visit me on the Sunshine Coast, or we can do a virtual session as well. That works perfectly well. But it's not like you're coming in and there's like this plan. It's very intuitively led, usually beginning with some ceremonial cacao, because if you haven't had cacao, it is quite literally the yummiest, nourishing drink ever. Like, I'm obsessed with it. So, and it just helps you like drop into your body, drop into your heart space, expand your heart space. It's just stunning. It's just like a hot chocolate. It's honestly like a hot chocolate, but we're just using ceremonial grade. So we're usually starting off with something like that. Usually some tarot, some oracle cards. I feel like I'm very good with those, which reminds me, I actually forgot to bring them to this session, but that is okay because clearly we didn't need them. Anyway, so we usually go with some oracle cards or some tarot cards, really just have a look at what's coming through. And usually this sort of sets the tone for the session, because sometimes we don't know what we need, and that is perfect. Like, that is actually perfect. Once we've sort of done that, it can go in so many different directions. Like, I mean, even from the beginning, right? Like, sometimes I'm like, okay, your body needs some physical support. We're going to bring in that Bowen therapy. We're going to get right into the muscles. We're going to release some tension. We're going to bring some alignment to the skeletal system. And that is perfect. And that is what you need. For other women, it might look like you don't need the physical just yet, but let's lock in with some energy healing. So you can already tell that all I'm doing in a doula session is following my intuition and following almost like your lead in a way, because I just want to support you in however you need. I've had sessions where all we do is we sit down and we do a little meditation and then we map out a birth plan. Or I don't like to call it a birth plan, I like to call it a birth compass, because it's, you know, the different directions that we can go, the different ways that we can support. But it's very well attuned to what you're needing. So that is just what I'm loving about it so much. And I love how nothing is like set in the way of, you know, I'm not applying anything to a pregnant woman who doesn't need this. Like some women in pregnancy, their fear is like all around the birthing process, right? But they are super organized, have meal prep sorted, have support left, right, and center for postpartum, and they know they're going to be good in postpartum, and that is perfect. So we're going to be locking in and like really focusing on how do you want your birth to look, how can we support your birth to look that way, and bringing in different tools. For example, this session I'm on my way to right now, it's a client session with her partner. We're going to be going in and showing him how to support her in labor physically, what she might want emotionally. And it's also not to create a plan that it has to go that way, but it's just to have the awareness for each partner to be aware that like these are ways that may support the birthing woman, but she might not even want that at all. So I hope I'm getting my point across in a way of like, it's extremely intuitively led, but it's extremely impactful because it's very like, I'm working with what you need. Second to that, we also like other things that I could bring into a session, it could be like womb healing. So I kind of briefly touched on this before, but womb healing is something I literally love. Like, I did a lot of womb work when I was doing the cycle work, because as women, we hold fear, pain, trauma, everything in our womb space. Now, if you want to take the woo-woo out of that, I just want you to think about, as women, a lot of the time, our hips are super tight, right? Like, you might find that like your hip flexors are like super highly strung, and it's like always like a spot where when you stretch, you're like, oh my gosh, that feels insane. Or you might not even have the capacity to like stretch it really, really well. And this can actually be like wound up emotion trapped in the hips, right? So the hips, the womb, the lower belly, whatever you want to refer it to, as women, we do hold a lot of trauma there. And womb healing is such a beautiful way to actually like dive in there energetically and just like see what's brewing on the surface. Sometimes it's stuff from your past. Sometimes pregnancy can bring up insecurities in our body. It can remind us of ways that we've felt insecure in the past, and that might be from past relationships, that might be from choices that we'd made within ourselves when we were even as young teenagers and didn't actually have the brain capacity to know what we were really getting ourselves into. But we can hold on to those stories, and we can hold on to that. There can also be a lot of grief held here, as well as if you have had previous loss in pregnancy, that is held here. And I don't want to like say it in a way where you're like frightened that, oh my gosh, my baby's taking on all this energy, because if you are willing to actually support yourself and sort of journey into what is going on, and you have that awareness, then there's absolutely no, like, you're doing all the things, right? And you've got to remember, we're going to get a little woo-woo, but your baby has chosen you at this time of your life for a reason, and they know what they are getting themselves into on a soul level. They know that you might be holding these stories, and maybe they are actually here to support you in releasing those stories. So that's also a really empowering way to look at things that might be coming up for you in pregnancy, even postpartum, whatever, that like, your baby on a soul level, when we look at it being really woo-woo, has actually chosen you at this time for a reason. They are maybe here to help that. They are maybe here to mirror that to you, like, it's super empowering. And everyone, like, you cannot be fully healed. For God's sake, if you hear someone say, no, I'm fully healed, they haven't even begun their journey, because we cannot be fully healed. And that's also something really important to remember. But womb healing is a really beautiful tool to bring into preconception, pregnancy, postpartum, to bring that awareness to your body and to support shifting that energy. I also find like it's really interesting. I remember having a beautiful client, and she worked with me prior to me, so when I was actually, before I went on maternity leave, and she really wanted to conceive a baby, and she had a lot of stories. She had endometriosis, a lot of stories around her womb space. She had previous loss, and there was a lot going on for her. And womb healing was the most supportive practice for her. We literally just explored what was going on. And, in a womb healing, I'm bringing in Reiki, I'm bringing in my own form of energy healing. I've got my medicine drum, I've got my singing bowl, I've got beautiful music playing. It's just like very intuitively led. It's not like freaky or anything. It's literally just like this beautiful space for you to just be held. But we did a lot of exploration with her, and there was a lot of past life stuff coming up, because that can also play a part. And after a couple of sessions, she ended up conceiving a beautiful little baby and carrying him to full term. And it was just the most beautiful experience for her, especially when, you are holding a lot there, and you sometimes can get stuck in that too, of like, holy shit, like there's no way I can escape how I'm feeling. Like it's just actually a part of me, because sometimes it can feel really heavy. And like even that can like apply to if you are feeling insecure in pregnancy or super scared about birth, and you're like, no, I actually can't shake this feeling. It actually can be shaken. We shall shake it. So yeah, like that's even just a really beautiful story from prior to me having my baby boy, supporting a woman to fall pregnant and conceive her little darling child. all through womb healing. We didn't actually really do much Bowen or anything there. We were really focusing more energetically because that was like what she needed, and that's exactly what I mean with the doula sessions. It's like what you need, we're gonna do. So like you might need like, and it's not even need, it's like your body might be asking for a lot of energy healing because maybe you've done a lot of physical stuff, or maybe you get massages or whatever, and that's just like perfect. That's just, we're just gonna follow that flow. I also mentioned like I've done my cacao journey facilitation, which included breath work. So I love to bring in some gentle breath, and this is also something, I really hope you can hear me because it's actually pissing down rain, and I'm in the car, like I said. Honestly, mum life, hey, like recording a podcast episode while driving to a client session because it's the only moment I actually have this week where I'm not like jam-packed with clients or obviously being present with my son. Anyway, oh my gosh, I just lost my train of thought. Guys, baby brain is actually so annoying. I feel like this pregnancy, it's so much worse. I'm not sure if it's because I like have a toddler to think about or like what, but like baby brain is honestly baby braining. Oh my gosh. Okay, no, I was talking about breath work and how I love bringing this in just to teach women as well, like just to breathe properly. A lot of the time we can get like rib pain in pregnancy. You know, that can even be, we can have rib pain, we can have tight ribs, tight diaphragm, and that can even be like presenting in the shoulders, that can be presenting in the chest, that can be presenting in the back because we've got nerves obviously that are running through everywhere. So sometimes it's actually just for that woman, it's actually like, let's like breathe properly. And it just opens up that entire diaphragm, and it's like this beautiful, it's so supportive. And it's also so supportive for the nervous system because we want to find safety in the stillness for our nervous system, because obviously in birth, especially if you're preparing for a natural labor, you know, we want to be able to feel safe in that stillness in our body, in being present in our body, in listening to what our body needs. And breath is just an incredible tool for that. I also love the breath for like labor preparation, if I didn't just say that. Like bringing it in, like this is how, like supporting the birthing process again, right? So like different breathing techniques for that and practicing those together. Also like using the rebozo in a session. This is a little bit, I've just completely jumped and changed my topic, but it's the same topic, but different thing. I love bringing in like acupressure points, rebozo techniques, ways to support the body with counter pressure. Like we go through all of these things if that's what your body's needing. So I feel like I've really just like hit the nail on the head of like explaining what you can expect, because it's actually unexpected, but it's always going to be, no matter what, no matter where you are in your journey of preconception, pregnancy, postpartum, your session is always going to be tailored to what you need, intuitively led. You're always going to feel held, nurtured, safe, right? And I always make sure of that. I always come back to that, because some of us are carrying around some really big things, and there's nothing wrong with that. But that is like my space as a doula, is to hold that space for you and make sure that you're feeling safe in your journey. And that is all I can ever ask as a doula, is that every woman gets to feel that way. Every woman gets to feel held, because it's such a crazy experience, the whole of matrescence, of motherhood. But also some women, you know, are going through this and they live in a city and they don't have any support around them because maybe they've had to move here for like career purposes or whatever it might be. Or yeah, there's just so much, like there's so many different scenarios that can be taking place as like a woman not feeling supported. And all I want is for every woman to feel supported. That is like literally all I want. Like, put it on a t-shirt. So I hope I've answered your questions around what to expect in a session. Like I said, I can do this virtually as well. So if you are, you know, in a different state or another country, but you're just like loving my energy and you would just love to have a session with me, we can still do that. We can still make it work. I know I can't necessarily like touch you and do like the physical side of things, but we can still do virtual womb healing. I've done it plenty of times with clients before, and it honestly is just as powerful. Some women prefer it because they're in their own space, which is also why I love doing home visits now. So yeah, you can do virtual Also, if you're not ready to completely like lock into one-on-one support, because again, that can feel terrifying if you haven't really like let yourself feel supported or haven't had the chance to feel supported in motherhood. I do run events. I have my next event coming up is called Held, a Circle for Mothers. This is in Maroochydore on the Sunshine Coast on the 11th of April at 3 p.m. It's going to go for a couple of hours, and of course you can expect ceremonial cacao, meditation. I'm going to be doing some womb healing and blessing at each womb. We'll get into that on the day. It's very beautiful and special and sacred. We are going to have a space just to connect truthfully, honestly, unfiltered with other mums. And again, the way I hold space is not a trauma dumping ground. It's actually a place just to be vulnerable. Because sometimes we just need to be seen in how hard something is feeling for us. And it's okay that something feels hard. It doesn't mean that every part of motherhood is hard, right? But it just means that we're fucking human and things just, they feel overwhelming. They feel hard. Sometimes we don't feel like anyone in our circle or like around us understands what we're saying, especially if you're surrounded by your male partner all the time. It's like, they just think so differently. And sometimes if you like don't have like female friends to like speak to it about, you're like, oh my gosh, am I actually crazy? But like, I promise you're not crazy. They just are so different, different creatures. Anywho, so my next event, like I said, is on the 11th of April in Maroochydore on the Sunshine Coast. It's limited spaces. I think I've only got 6 spots left now at the time of recording. So if you would like to come along, I'm going to leave the link for you below. But please don't like hesitate to reach out to me on Instagram. My handle is Tanika Lace. Ask me any questions that you might have. I'm always here to chat, to make sure that you're feeling safe in the investment as well, because like that, like I've said a lot, I just really want you to feel really like good in yourself, feel really supported. So that is my upcoming event. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, don't forget to follow this podcast, rate the podcast, share it with your friends, all of the things. Let's help it grow. Fridays are going to now be guest episode Fridays. We've got amazing birth stories coming. I literally cannot wait. Like, I am like, this is feeling like a woman's circle, like so hardcore. And I'm like, that I'm here for it. Like, I'm actually here for it so hard. So amazing birth stories to come, and all different kinds of births. I don't want you to think I've only got women on that had quote unquote the perfect birth, because it's the complete opposite of that. I've just got have women lined up that have had the most insane, incredible experiences. And like, I just want it to be the most empowering conversations for you to listen to. I also have upcoming episodes with like some health professionals in like that specialize in the pregnancy postpartum space. And yeah, there's just like some really cool things coming for the podcast, really cool things coming just like within my business. Also, don't forget to follow my TikTok, which I'll also leave linked below. But like, I feel like I'm just very day in the life, raw motherhood over there. And I just think if you need a little bit of that in your life, follow me, because it's all I'm really posting. Anyway, love you so much, and I'll be back in your ears on Friday.